For a moment, the air in the room froze, and she and Si Han were in a state of faint resemblance as if they had returned to their pre-reincarnation. For this person in front of her, the innate fear began her sich **ML***** in star. Fortunately, at this time, a series of footsteps came from the institute, breaking the stalemate. Huai brought a group of gardeners, florists, and construction workers of all kinds into the living room together. Jiujia, the garden has a problem that needs to be repaired. Sui said half a sentence, and then he saw Si Han sitting on the girl's left hand, and he was immediately dumbfounded, and behind him, a group of servants also looked at each other. Not only was there a surprise because this girl had a beautiful face, but everyone knew that the master had a disease that liked to be clean. For women it was even more disgusting to the extreme. It was a woman who couldn't appear more than 3 steps in front of the master. Only this Yi Yan, his biological mother, couldn't help. Who is this girl after all? Yi Yan looked at Sui, looked at the other maids, took a bite of the shrimp dumplings and said apologetically, "Wu, did I forget to dress up today to scare everyone?" Yi Fan. Hearing this familiar voice, everyone in the room was stunned. That ugly girl, although her body was extremely tragic, had a voice that was extremely easy to hear. Just like the Jiangnan spring, pure and smooth. However, the sound was easy to hear, so that everyone they came to see it was disgusted. And later this girl entered the garden, and many of them followed her to confess. At this moment, the master next to him didn't use makeup. And the flowing water Fudong was like this female comedian Yi Yanan. Seeing everyone's reaction, Yi Fan was in a mood and thought seriously. Surely my appearance at the beginning is even more beautiful? I remember the time when I dyed my hair blue, and you looked at my face in amazement. Otherwise, or will it be changed tomorrow? Where there is horror, there is horror. Huai finally reassured herself, shook her head like a drum. No, the young lady's appearance is extremely beautiful. Without thinking about it, Yi Yan Fan made up like this. The reason in front of this lady Yi, so far it is not that there is a problem with beauty, but that there is a problem with the mind. The master's eyes were also too poisonous. After all, how could he see through the girl's essence that was thicker than the city wall? If Yi Yan Fan knew Suyi's thoughts at this time, he would definitely tell him that your master doesn't need to see through the city wall. But your master likes the other floor of the city wall. Do you want to discuss the matter of the Z2 cultivator? Yi Yan asked. Sui nodded unconsciously. That's it. Yi Yan immediately tried to probe and asked, "Can I suggest a little bit of something over there?" Guess she still has to stay in this kind of locality for a very long time. There are some based on her own wishes, let her stay a little comfortable. It's impossible to go to school, but is this possible? She remembered carefully, except for going out, Si Han had other requirements for her. No matter what, she was tolerant. But Huai heard Yi Yan's request, immediately wanted to commit suicide, and immediately looked at Si Han for help, hoping that the monk could let him be the master. 9 families. I beg you not to let this woman trample on the garden. Si Han said versus Yi Yan too. It's up to you. Sui. Good, he knows it will be like that. Sui could only bitterly approach. Miss, what do you think? Yi Yan thought carefully. I don't like roses and lavender, can I change them to sunflowers? Huai was a little stunned and subconsciously asked, Miss, do you like sunflowers? As for give those flowers away. Pluck them all. This request of Yi Yan Fan was really too normal. Yi Yan Fan thought for a moment and said, It's normal. Sui didn't understand. Then why? Yi Yan's eyes lit up. Because it can be stir-fried into melon seeds later. Sui ace. Si Han. Yi Yan pointed to the distance again. There is also that lake, don't raise that carp, it's weak and can't eat. Release a little carp, small shrimp, herring. The wallflower frame was changed into a vine trellis. It's true that sweet potatoes can grow a little. Bit of him, 1 step into the hammock. He uses his style to walk tall with beautiful women. There is also the east lawn, on the contrary, the burning is also burned. Isn't it equal to the opportunity to have the ashes of the plants fertilized, cultivate and plant some white cabbage? Chain. White cabbage. Seeing Suyi's eyes wide open, Si Han was also an unpredictable expression. Yi Yan's voice was a little low, and he said weakly, How is it? Si Han slightly took the white porcelain cup with his slender fingers, and gently raised his pupils. In this place of mine, do you usually let me go hungry? Yi Yan momentarily choked up. No. She has not worried about rice since she was a child. She has never starved and never suffered from hunger. In Sia Han's house, this is even more impossible. Chef Jin Yuan every day exchanges for a trick because she can eat a lot of sips. Because if she eats less portions than Sia Han prescribes, those chefs will also be fired. But she also didn't know what was going on with her. Just like a hamster, having a habit of hoarding food. The more food she had with her, the more secure she felt. It was nothing more than a previous life that was locked up by Sia Han. His spirit was sluggish, and gradually there was nothing *4 food editor. The author wrote that it is *true, but according to my knowledge and idea it means elated, own and doesn't care about food anymore. It's hard to live again, except for beauty. Eating delicious food naturally is also indispensable. Otherwise it would be a waste of effort to relive this time. After a long time, Sia Han turned to Su Yi and took a look. Follow. Su Yi's face was as gray as ashes. Yes. He was really too naive and he thought that this girl had changed her true nature. She wanted to change her high-class home garden into a vegetable garden. It was crazy. Yen Han heard a little bit of Sia Han agree, and momentarily brightened his mood and said excitedly, "It's too good. So wait until autumn. There can be a lot of delicious food. Wait until autumn." Hearing these 4 words, Sia Han's expression changed slightly, and an unusual glint flashed in his pupils. Before following his side, Yi Yan's heart was full of only the desire to run away. How could he think about the future? All day, Yi Yan carefully negotiated with Hua Yi where to plant what crops, and the whole journey led the servants to work. Waiting until dusk, the previous Jin Yuan that was destroyed by Yi Yan was already brilliant. The east is planted with white cabbage, the west is planted with sunflowers, on the wall is a newly planted grape trellis, flowers and precious trees are all replaced by vegetables and fruits, changing the water in the lake. A pile of fertile grass carp and live shrimp are happy to jump everywhere. In the past, Jin Yuan's flowers and plants were all such rare treasures, rare in the world. The maid had to pay attention, otherwise it was impossible to go down *G***T***. Just like now, although it was a green vegetable garden, on the contrary, there was no smoke and fire. I don't know if it was the reason for the increase in the amount of exercise. The amount of rice Yen Yen ate was restored, and he ate again in the evening, not less. After eating and drinking enough, resting and recuperating, she began to think about the matter of the day again. It's not just going to school. The basic problem at hand is her relationship and state with Sia Han. If she wanted to change completely, she had to find him and try to talk to him once. Sia Han's room was on the last floor, a place that she had never taken the initiative to enter in her previous life. Boom! Yi Yan stood at the door a little urgently, took a deep breath and then knocked on the door. Click, a sound of the door of the room opening, hitting the eyes of a pair of eyes like cold chatter. Editor. Is a cold lagoon, sinking into the pupils. That, I have something to say to you, is it convenient now? The man seemed to have expected her to come. There was no surprise on his face, and he didn't say a word, and turned around in the room as if secretly accepting. Yi Yan hurriedly took a step forward to chase after him. Tonight, no matter what, this man must be dealt with. Yi Yan Han entered Sia Han's room for the first time, and as soon as he entered, there was a series of strong feelings of oppression. The whole nuanced room is abnormally quiet. The highlight is one corner for a set of speakers to look very high-end. The music is turned on to make people feel relaxed with the flow of each part. The window curtains are just like the owner, coldly closed, without leaving a single gap. The entire space was completely sealed from the outside world. In the room, the most basic is wine, most of which are luxury Western wines. Except for Sia Han, there is always a person in the basic room. Tuda Han's hypnotic house. P/S because our male protagonist can't sleep because he misses the female protagonist. V equals. Judging by the current situation, Tuda Han is about to fall asleep. I am afraid of the princess sleeping in the forest. Just taking a nap. Why does it feel like 1,000 autumns only sleep once? Watching him sleep last night was very convenient. Guess it was because he hadn't slept for 3 days? After Yi Yan went into the room, the hypnotist went out. The top of his head was blurred under the lights. Sia Han with a bone-cold expression walked to the bar in front of him and sat down, pouring a glass of wine. Say it. Yi Yan had already considered it, and he didn't hesitate much at this moment, and directly opened his mouth and said, I want to talk a little about the relationship between us. Our relationship? Siya Han frowned slightly, as if he was interested in this topic. Yi Yan nodded once, and his voice solemnly opened his mouth and asked, "That's right. Siya Han, so, what is the relationship between us now?" Siya Han, "You're mine." Editor laughs. Yin Yan. Yi Yan's face immediately indicated clearly, "You want to talk to him, why are you lost your words now?" There is absolutely no way to understand the answer. Yi Yan forced himself to open his mouth in disdain, and continued to open his mouth and said, "Siya Han, so far I don't understand, why are you satisfied with me, taking the identity of your status, wanting to be beautiful, wanting to be beautiful, wanting to be priced? Isn't it as easy to have as easy as buying a plate of rice? Considering that you like my fat beauty like heavy taste, there are also countless people who will be willing to come to your mouth? No matter what the cause of ABCDFGH is, if this point has not changed in any way, why hasn't our relationship changed a little? You are angry and I don't stop running away, that's because everyone can't bear to be monitored no matter what they do. They can't stand being controlled, their freedom being taken away. The more you want to control me, the more I feel like I want to run far. There is a saying, green pickles are not sweet. I believe you also know this moral." Siya He at this moment quietly listened to Yi Yan's long speech. One hand lazily clung to his head, the other hand gently swayed the wine glass in his hand, and said deeply, "Who said I like melons? Yin Yan. You're crazy about it? Why doesn't he know how to talk happily?" Time passes slowly. Not knowing how long she was silent, Yi Yan suddenly stood up, step by step towards Siya Han. Siya Han didn't speak either, just looked at her with an indifferent face. In the end, Yi Han walked in front of the man who stopped, and the next second suddenly leaned over, and the soft lips fell into the cold lips opposite him. "A KP has a bed scene, but TT is dog food." Are you sure?" The soft comedian pressed her lips to his lips, carrying an innocence or, "Surely, don't you like to eat melons?" In the blink of an eye, when the girl's soft lips fell, Siya Han's pupils suddenly contracted. The gaze compared to the previous day at any time wanted to be more gloomy, as if it could bring in all the souls. Looking at his eyes, Yi Yan Fan promptly retreated to a safe distance and tried to continue to open his mouth and said, "Actually, I just hope to be able to have a normal life like other girls. I guarantee that I won't run away. And if you don't force me like a doll, why should I run away?" Gu Vietzek, before her brain was pinched by the door, stupid as a cow, so it was possible for a male scumbag to remember forever, she now thought clearly. "How do you feel, taking your status and values? As long as we restore normal living together, for a long time, I will definitely grow into a melon." Yi Yan said with a dry throat, urgently waiting for Siya Han to respond. "Actually, the melon is really delicious. I feel that you can try it. How can you not like it if you haven't tried it, right?" Siya Han seemed to laugh without laughing, but looked at the front of his eyes to try to advertise himself. The little melon sprout deeply said, "If you grow up with a disability." Editor, laughter. Yi Yan's mouth momentarily withdrew, wiped his sweat and said, "No, it won't. I'm going to try my best to grow up. Definitely Miao Hong's righteous base." Editor. Actually, the Chinese word is Gunzheng Maohong equals Zheng Miao Hong. This sentence means noble virtue if combined with 4 words, but in particular, the 2 words Zheng Miao also means root and sprout, or root, origin, and the 2 words Zheng Hong mean Vietnamese, being red. Here the word Zheng Hong tells us, meaning 1, an N will grow up to become high virtue, which means become a person with high morals, respected by people. But meaning 2 is, an N will grow up full of roots, ripe and fruitful. In fact, the author also has a real heart and heart. Laughs. I don't know how long it took. He lowered his eyes and smiled softly. "Okay, I'll give you 3 months." Yi Yanan was a little wrapped around for a moment. Can 3 months be, or isn't it too short? If there is not enough time, it will not be nourished well. I don't mind. Oh, all right. 3 months in a row. Being able to take advantage of 3 months of freedom was extremely difficult. Yi Yan immediately said excitedly, "NIQ 30S0H. I'm here to collect things. Tomorrow I'll move out first. Regardless of my free time, I will go to Jinyuan to take care of the vegetable garden." After speaking, it was as if he was very afraid that Siya Han would change his mind, and he ran like a flying wind. Looking at the other girl happily leaving, Siya Han's face sank slightly, and he immediately regretted it. The next second, her fingers gently wiped her own lips, leaving a little soft emotion on her lips. "Oh my God, this is the last time I trust you. It's also one last time, give me a chance. If you betray me." After returning to the room, Yi quickly brought the textbooks and luggage to collect a little. It was so successful, it was like dreaming like that. At this time, a mobile phone rang and the phone called Shinmingchi. Yi's mouth twitched with a sneer, raised his hand to answer the phone. "Hello." The mobile phone had just connected and immediately transmitted to Shinmingchi a panting voice. "Yinan, how did I call you without answering? What happened to you? Why haven't you gone with Gu Yuetsa? Do you know how much energy it took me to advise Gu Yuze to bring him in? Besides, I'm at the door of Jin Yuan, and the maid won't let me in. You quickly tell them a little." "Huh, because I've been kicked out of Jin Yuan." "What? Uncle? Have you been kicked out of the Jin Yuan?" Shinmingchi's voice looked worried, and it was obvious that he couldn't suppress his joy. "That's right, I'll move to the inn tomorrow." "Too good, Yenin. It seems that this plan still works. Is it or not that Si Xianxing met you with Gu Yuze, so he misunderstood something, and then he chased you out in anger?" Yi Yan said neither quickly nor slowly. "How do you know that Si Yahan witnessed me and Gu Yuze? He wasn't at home those days, aren't you the most obvious?" I guess in short, congratulations to you. Finally got rid of that scary man." "Thank you." Facing Shinmingchi's congratulations, Yi Yan Fan laughed softly and hung up the phone. In this life, the debt between her and Shinmingchi of course must be calculated once, but she threw the rat for fear of breaking the bottle. Her brother, who had no precedent, was now being driven crazy by Shinmingchi. If she touched Shinmingchi at this time, she was only afraid that the relationship between her and her brother would be even more strained. So for now, it can only be temporarily waited for the opportunity. Inside the master bedroom on the last floor, after Yi Yan left, the hypnotist immediately returned to the room, preparing for hypnosis again. "Zhou, can we start then?" Si Yahan seemed to be thinking about something, and he didn't know if he could hear his words clearly, but he just raised his hand arbitrarily. Therefore, the hypnotist emits music, burns a special incense, and begins to psychologically lead. Half an hour later. An hour later. 2 hours later. The person who has solved countless difficult diseases, who was invited by the #1 mercenary corps of the world's sunset gods to be a senior psychologist, Mo Huin began to doubt human life for the nth time. Every time he treated Si Yahan, he always felt that he was a fake doctor. "Zhou, what did you encounter today?" Mo Huan tried to ask. A few days ago, it was because the young lady next to him was constantly trying to escape, making him unable to control his anger, leading to 3 days of sleeplessness. "Why today? Didn't you say that the little lady had changed her personality?" Just now, when he saw the other person, he was also terrified. The other girl was not only wearing makeup on her face, dressed a little beautifully, between the 2 rows of eyebrows was also quite gentle, unlike before. Her whole body was always full of tears. According to the theory of the 9 families, wouldn't it become a little more stable? How did hypnosis fail? But at this moment, Si Yahan was lying on the bed. The blue-black shadow under his eyes slowly emerged. The blue veins on his forehead swelled, and his expression almost became fiercely vicious, obviously suffering from great suffering. It was like there was a terrifying wild beast in his body, out of control, irritable, extremely disturbing, ruining his temperament, eating away at his spirit every second and every minute. Seeing that Si Yahan's state tended to change for the worse, it became worse and worse. Mo Huin stopped his expression solemnly and hurriedly asked, "Is it because of that lady Yi?" However, just like the previous times, Si Yahan didn't answer him. If Si Yahan volunteered to talk to others, his illness would not be so serious. His defensive mentality was too heavy, not allowing anyone to enter his territory. Considering that there is a better psychologist, if the patient refuses to cooperate, he will not be able to do anything more. Thinking of Yi Xian, Mo Xian's mood was a little complicated. This girl was likely related to the knot in Si Yahan's heart. Otherwise, it was really difficult to explain why Si Yahan always chained her daughter and kept an ordinary girl by her side. However, he really had no way to get an answer from Si Yahan, and Yi Yanhan didn't get any useful information. The Deep family is in the entertainment industry. In front of the eyes of Deep, and An's second uncle is the owner of the Deep family, under the flag of Huang Tian. He holds more than half of the entertainment industry, but after all, the long true history, compared to the arrogant families, is just an ordinary wealthy. Regardless of whether it was Yi Yanin or her family, it was impossible to have any relationship with a huge family that overwhelmed all the ancient families in the country like the house, nor could it be with the heir of the Ziyahan house. Therefore, Ziyahan gave Yi Yan a special treatment, which really made people not understand. Since Yi Yan's appearance, Ziyahan's condition has become even worse. If there is no cure for this sleep obstacle, his body is afraid that it will not be able to be optimistic.